Hi everyone, welcome to week 2. This week we're going to be talking about fear and anxiety and really taking a deep dive into understanding what these are and how they're related. So the first thing that I want everyone to know and understand is that fear is our friend, right? Fear is not this horrible thing. It's not a bad thing in our lives. It actually has a really important biological and physiological purpose. And that purpose is to keep us safe, right? So fear is designed to create discomfort that motivates us to take an action. And there's two types of action that fear, that discomfort is trying to motivate us to. One is to take an action to actually save our lives. So that might be running away or fighting. And the other is to move into a process of investigation. And the best way that I know how to really explain this to you is to use horses as an example. So horses are kind of designed, they're hardwired to sort of have a core belief about the world, that it's a dangerous place, right? They're prey animals, so predators potentially could be anywhere. Now, of course, in the domestic world, they don't really have a lot of actual predators that could get to them. Most domestic horses don't. But they're still just as hardwired and they still have just as many fears. And the same is true with us. There are some things that we really have in the world to be afraid about. And right now, during COVID-19, getting sick or potentially even getting so sick that we might die is a real fear, right? But we also have fears of other things, fears of being judged, fears of not being in control, right? And it doesn't matter what kind of fear it is. It doesn't even matter if a fear is real or perceived. The response is going to be the same. So anyone who has spent time with horses knows that something as simple as a plastic bag that's blowing or rustling on the ground can send a horse into all-out pure panic mode, right? Full flight, full fear and flight response. And they're going to run. I mean, they're just going to go into panic until they figure out that that plastic bag is not actually chasing them or is not actually posing a threat to their lives. Then they're going to move into that investigation mode, right? And horses will, they'll take as long as it takes, whatever they need to do. They will look at the plastic bag from afar, they'll walk around it, they'll try to see it from every angle, then they'll get closer, they'll listen to the sounds that it's making, they might smell it, sniff it. If they get close enough, they might even touch it or play with it. They are going to do whatever it takes to come to a resolution about whether or not that plastic bag is a threat. And that's where we can really, really learn from horses. And we, as humans, tend to bypass this process of investigation. And what happens then is I want to talk a little bit about the relationship between fear, stress, and anxiety. So according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, stress is the response to a threat. That fear response is a stress response. Now, anxiety is actually a reaction to the stress. So if we don't go through that inquiry process, if a horse doesn't go through that inquiry process of determining and making themselves feel confident that that plastic bag is not something to fear, it is not a threat, then they're going to stay in a state of anxiety about it. And sometimes in training situations or in riding situations, horses are just not given the freedom to be able to do that full inquiry process to the extent that they need to. Like, we can't determine for them when they're convinced that that plastic bag is okay. Same is true for us. Somebody else can't tell us, oh, that's not something to be worried about. We have to decide for ourselves. We have to go through the process of investigation and inquiry to determine whether something that we are having a fear reaction to and a stress reaction to is really worthy of being feared, or whether we can come to resolution about it. So the key in all of that is being able to move to resolution of the stress so that we don't stay in a state of anxiety. All right? So that's what we're going to be focusing on this week, and the exercises that you have ahead, the reflection exercises and the experiential exercises, are going to be designed to help you learn how to move through this process more effectively. So it's going to be a good week, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the classroom and on the Zoom chat.